Happy Tuesday, everyone. I am your host, Joe Macheca. I guess full-time Joe, intern Joe, anything still goes. But yes, I am guest hosting. Mike Yuva is sick today. You guys send your well wishes to Mike. He sounds like he is going through it, so best wishes to Mike. Rest up. Hope he feels better soon. But I'm here with my, co-host today, co-worker at Gamecock Central, the one, the only Jack Velchik. Jack, how we doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
I'm doing good, man. I'm honored to be on Talking Tuesdays. Mike's never asked me to be on, so Joe, I appreciate you asking me to be on. Hopefully Mike's not pulling like a Ferris Bueller or something, doing so much crazy stuff in one day. But yeah, man, happy to be on and happy to talk some football.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was a very eventful day for football. Obviously, Shawn Elliott getting reintroduced as a South Carolina Gamecock coach. He's the new tight ends coach. Jack, you were over there with me. What are your initial reactions? And we'll have some clips from Coach Elliott's presser as well, but what are your initial reactions from Coach Elliott's press conference?
One of the things I was looking forward to hearing, just because we hadn't really gotten anything official yet, was like, why leave a head coaching job to come coach tight ends at the University of South Carolina, right? I think Elliott had a good thing going at Georgia State, which is where he was for a few years now. And obviously, we kind of got the answer today. Is that he's kind of a homebody, right? He loves his family and loves being a Gamecock, and I think he kind of missed doing that. And obviously, for those of you who don't know, I didn't even know this going into today. Shawn's family still lives in the Columbia area. He's got his son plays football at AC Flora nearby. So he has a lot of home connections here, and obviously grew up a Gamecock and coached here during the glory years and stuff, and obviously became the interim coach at one point when Steve Spurrier resigned or left, whatever the case might be, however you want to phrase it. But yeah, this was it was a very good press conference for him. Just the vibe I got was that he's very excited to be back here. And I think it was like when he saw an opportunity to come coach here again, he was going to do it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That was certainly the vibe. And, obviously it was a very family-oriented press conference, right? His family was at the forefront. It was his sole decision to come back to South Carolina. He stressed that quite a bit. And then I also I forget who asked him the question, but somebody asked him about, NIL, and he said, they've had 25 players leave Georgia State for Power 5 schools, but that was not the reason why he's taking the job as a tight ends coach at South Carolina. He's taking the job to be at South Carolina, to be, with the Gamecocks in Columbia, with his family in Columbia. That was very much the vibe and the energy today as Coach Elliott was introduced. And obviously, it can never hurt when you have someone who has had success at South Carolina on staff, right? We talk about it when veterans come back, when Alshon Jeffrey and former players come back to talk to the team or, get out of the staff. This is one of those guys who knows what winning looks like at South Carolina and knows what you need to do, right? So I think that's one of my bigger takeaways. Jack, what else we got from Coach Elliott?
So one other thing that I kind of thought about is that obviously Elliott has got years of head coaching experience now, right? When he originally left South Carolina the first time, the decision came down to, before he went and took the job at Georgia State, this was something he needed to do, right? He needed to take a head coaching, I guess do it maybe was the way he kind of put it, and have that under his belt, that experience. And now that he's back here, even though he's a tight ends coach and run game coordinator and all that stuff, he brings that level of experience to Shane Beamer's coaching staff that he's been there before. He knows what it takes to run an entire team. And I think the more minds that you have in there to help out Shane, I think it's going to really benefit him. Like, think about it this way. You have Shawn's been a head coach. He's been at South Carolina during the glory days, just like Shane was. You get Joe DeCamillis from the NFL. James Cooley's been at Georgia, been all over the SEC. Marquell Blackwell been at different stops at like Ole Miss, Houston, different teams like that. You're bringing in so many different guys that have had different types of experiences. Obviously the NFL, head coaching, SEC. that's all going to help Shane, I think, in the long run. And look, I mean, he can't just do it by himself, right? That's why he has a support staff around him. And I think he's really done a good job of bringing in guys that are going to help play to this team's strengths and I think get the most out of them. So it's nice to have different perspectives and experiences on this coaching staff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I asked Shawn Elliott about, his run game coordinator aspect of his position. We'll get to that. And basically what he told me was that, everyone on this offensive staff will have, input, right? I think that's been the MO this offseason with the addition of Coach Coley and Coach Blackwell. They have experience calling plays, especially at big time spots too. Coach Coley did a little bit at Georgia, Coach Blackwell as well. Very big stops at Texas A&M. So, yeah, everyone on this offensive staff I've gathered is going to have some kind of input. Coach Elliott knows the run game better, than a lot of people in college football right now. So, I'm interested to see, how much he's involved with it. I think every guy on this offense brings a certain element to, I guess the play calling and to help out Dowell Loggins, right? And that's exactly what you want, because you don't want your offense getting stagnant and having the same kind of, gray areas or problem areas year after year. When you're bringing in new faces like this, and yes, this is the most, a Beamer staff has kind of changed over in the offseason that we've seen, but, fresh faces never hurt, right? So I think it's a very big upgrade when you have guys that, play called and stuff like that. It gives Coach Loggins, an extra voices and input on the offense to just, make sure that he's seeing things correctly. And, when you have that many football minds and that much experience, it certainly helps you, right? Especially in the SEC where you need it the most.
Totally. And I think with him being the run game coordinator, I think is only going to really help. Obviously, he'll work with Marquell Blackwell on it and stuff, but also thinking about Lenore Sellers a little bit. Obviously, we know he's a dual threat kind of guy, and we saw glimpses of what he can do in the run game last year. I mean, just looking at last year with Georgia State, which is where Elliott was coaching before, Darren Granger, their quarterback there, he rushed a ton. I mean, he was the second leading rusher on Georgia State last year with 159 carries for 736 yards and 10 touchdowns. So, and obviously Georgia State had a 1,300-yard rusher at running back last year. So I think the run game is definitely going to be a big part of what South Carolina can do this year. Obviously, brought in the three guys out of the transfer portal that are going to be super helpful and stuff. And you've got some returners and newcomers that are freshmen and whatnot. So, but with Sellers specifically, I'm really interested to see what Elliott's going to do with him and how much of his time is going to be devoted to that run game and stuff. Because, that's one of his official titles. So it definitely feels like a good hire. And I think he's definitely going to be super, 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 super good for this team and coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and Big Red asks, could Coach Elliott work with the offensive line in spots as well, given his experience? Yeah, absolutely. I think having him coach tight ends, allows him to help out with the offensive line, the running backs, everyone, involved in the run game. And, I'm going to be really excited to see, again, what that looks like going forward. But as we mentioned, everyone has input. And a lot of these coaches have experience coaching other positions as well, right? They're all on board, right? And I think all the coaches with, as much of it being on the offensive staff that you've had changing over, everyone's united, right? Everyone, is ready to just go play football, go win football games, right? So absolutely, Coach Elliott will work with the offensive line. If Lonnie, asks him for advice, and I'm sure, at some point things will come up where, a coach needs help with something and throws it out to the staff. I don't think that's, that's going to be something the staff is going to be doing a lot from everything that we've gathered just from press conferences and every coach in their introductory press conference as well. One thing they talked about was the collaboration aspect, right? They talked about how many people they like are in the building and how much they work together. And that's been something that's been huge for South Carolina this offseason.
Totally. Yeah. And going off that, answering Big Red's question just a little bit more, with his press conference today, Elliott was kind of talking about how, what did he say specifically? It was, talking about he's willing to help however needed, right? The O-line and tight ends, they kind of work one and the same because at the end of the day, both of their jobs is to block. Obviously, tight ends catch the ball as well. But the goal that Elliott was talking about is to be the best in every single aspect. And look, man, if Lonnie needs anything, obviously Lonnie Teasley is a younger guy and stuff, and he's still kind of getting new to all this. I mean, look, Elliott's been there before. He's coached this group. He knows what it takes to be good in the trenches. And for South Carolina, they definitely need to be better this year. And I think having that duality aspect, okay, Shawn's been there before, but now he's coaching tight ends and he's doing run game and all this. I think it's going to be very good for Lonnie and his development as a coach. But also, I think you're going to see the players block a lot better up front this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, can't forget about Greg Adkins as well. He's done a lot recruiting and off, kind of off the field. When he and Monty switched roles, the question wasn't going to be, what's going to happen to Coach Adkins. He's been very much involved with this program and recruiting. And so also another very valuable part. And again, goes with the theme, right? You want as many good football minds in the same building that you can get. And I feel like everyone is going to be on board. And again, it starts with Coach Elliott, being from Columbia, from the area. I think he helps. And like I said at the top of the show, my biggest point and the biggest thing with this hire, right, is you want somebody who knows what it's like to win at South Carolina. As many people as you can get with that experience, the better, because they've done it before. It's not impossible to win at South Carolina. So it's certainly coming. Carolina Titans says a coach that can develop and wants to be here at South Carolina. Finally, Gamecock fans are being rewarded. Yes, exactly. This is, I expected similar things with the Beamer regime, that you were going to bring in a guy like Shawn Elliott that has history at the University of South Carolina. It's something that gets the fans going, right? Elliott talked about it. He said he can't go anywhere in Columbia without being recognized or talked to or something like that. This fan base loves this hire, Jack.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Elliott has been around for ever now with South Carolina. Obviously born Camden and stuff, grew up a Gamecock fan, all that. But then when he coached here during the really good years of South Carolina football that we all know, the 3 straight 11-win seasons. And the thing that kind of just stands out to me is that he's coached a lot of different areas with South Carolina, right? He's obviously, as we all know, been the interim head coach after Spurrier left. But before that, he was the run game coordinator. He was a co-offensive coordinator. He's been an offensive line coach. He's really done it all. And I think adding tight ends coach to that resume I think he can do it. It's another challenge for him, but I feel like he's going to handle it just fine. And then obviously run game coordinator, it's something he's done before. So look, this is a huge win for Shane Beamer and staff. Obviously, we don't know exactly how long. Joe, you and I were talking about this earlier, how long that list of possibilities could be for who fills that tight end coaching role. But I feel like Elliott was probably at the top of the list, and it seemed like it went down pretty quickly. Shane just called him, and it was an immediate yes. Look, Elliott's a guy that loves South Carolina football, and I think his energy is going to be something Gamecock fans have been longing for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Big Red Ass, does this give you the same feel that we had during the Spurrier years? I think it certainly helps, right? Not the winning isn't quite there yet, but at the beginning phases of a program, right, you can start to feel that the potential is certainly there, and I think that's what this hire was kind of going for, right? You need a little bit more of that culture and that swagger and that feeling to be alive in Columbia again. You need as much of it as you can get. And, Coach Elliott certainly knows how to recruit, right? You want to recruit in your home state. They've done a good job of it so far, but it's something that you can't let slip. And then when you have a guy like Coach Elliott come in, he's going to be recruiting the state up and down. I can guarantee you that. And that helps. And that also, in a way, like, recruiting the state also helps you generate a lot of buzz for your program. When you have a good relationship with, the coaches at the University of South Carolina and that high school, people are going to, like South Carolina more. It's plain and simple, right? And when you have kids from, going from your high school to play at South Carolina, it's big. It helps, further than, obviously getting the stud player from your home state, but, the ripple effects are bigger. And, Shawn Elliott he checks all those boxes for an in-state recruiter, right? Really good at maintaining and building relationships. So he's going to get right to work, right? I think, and that's another thing with all these hires. They're all really good people. Like, they're all really good with people. They're all really good recruiters. There's that extra side of it, right? That the added bonus, if you will, about all these guys. So I think it certainly helps, Big Red. And I think that's kind of what they're trying to do. And because like I said, this guy knows what it's like to win at South Carolina. And you want to, Spurrier had the best idea of a program or the best semblance of a program at South Carolina and winning at South Carolina. So yes, of course, you're going to do anything to get right back to where you were.
You covered about every single base, my man.
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to repeat what Joe literally just said. But again, the question, they haven't won anything yet. Let's be real, right? Yeah. You're coming off a quite frankly, what's the right word to put it? Not a failure of a season, but a season where you thought you're going to take a step upwards after 8 wins, and you severely missed that. But I will say, we still need to see what Shawn. The season hasn't even started yet, right? It's only been a few days since Elliott came back to South Carolina, but I think you can already feel his passion and energy for this university and this football program. It runs deep, and I think it's not. I mean, I'm not going to say that the other coaches that were here in previous years didn't have that same type of fire, but it's different, right? Because Elliott is a homegrown guy. He grew up here, like we've said before, and I think that makes the energy different. And also on top of that, he coached here during South Carolina's best seasons of all time, so that also helps. But I think, I think this year we're definitely going to get a different sort of feel, not just because of all the talent that they brought in, but also you got a guy like Shawn Elliott who loves this team and school back on staff. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think, obviously it was a very big addition for Coach Beamer. I have a clip prepared of Coach Beamer just talking about the addition of Shawn Elliott. So we're going to cut to that real quick. Here's Coach Beamer talking about what it means to add a guy like Shawn Elliott.
Awesome opportunity to bring Shawn Elliott back to Columbia, someone that I have a ton of respect for as a person, as a coach, recruiter. Got very close with him when he came here at South Carolina as an assistant coach when I was here with Coach Spurrier. Saw the impact that he made on our program, particularly on the offensive line when he came in as an assistant coach, and enjoyed our time together. And then someone that I've kept in touch with since then and have a ton of respect for what he did as an assistant coach before he got to South Carolina at App, what he did when he was here, and then obviously what he's done at Georgia State since he's been there as the head coach as well. I'm always trying to make our program better, and he makes our program better. He, along with the other assistant coaches that we've hired since January as well, couldn't be more excited about the staff that we've put together, thanks to our administration, Dr. Amaritas. Come on, Jordan. Dr. Amaritas, Coach Tanner, Chance Miller there as well for the opportunity that they gave us to bring these guys here to Columbia. And there's no question that, since the end of the season, we're better as a team and as a program. The players that we have in this program, coaches, staff, and really excited about finishing up our winter workouts here over the next couple of weeks, and then spring break for our guys, and then getting cranked up with spring practice here in the middle of March. So any questions? I know you guys are eager to hear from Shawn, but anything from me before we bring him up? Obviously not. Easiest press conference ever. So, well, again, when I was looking at this position, it was something that, how can we be better? Who makes us better? And there's no question that Shawn Elliott makes us better in a lot of ways, on and off the field, and certainly has been very well received. We were at a clinic in Myrtle Beach over the weekend, Friday and Saturday. Our coaches were there, and can't tell you how many high school coaches came up to me on Friday night. So excited about this guy being back in the state of South Carolina, back here in Columbia where he belongs, and he's already made an impact on our team and with our players, and can't wait to see where we go here going forward. So please help me welcome back Coach Shawn Elliott.
So yeah, Jack, that was Coach Beamer introducing the new tight ends coach, Shawn Elliott. What did you take from Beamer's initial opening statement?
Yeah, he didn't get to talk long. I thought he was going to talk for 10, 15 minutes, but, no questions. That's crazy to think about. But, obviously these two have coached together before, back when Spurrier was here and stuff. And I think when you put those minds together, that love this team and stuff. And I know so much of this program is built on love and all that, but at the end of the day, it comes down to winning football games. And they've seen what it takes to win. And I think it's not going to be like a yin and yang sort of thing. Because I mean, Shane is going to be the leader and head coach of this team, but I think Shawn definitely lends himself well to helping Shane through whatever he needs. If there's any questions or anything, I think Shawn's earned that type of respect, and his opinion is valued because, I mean, he hasn't just coached here, and he's obviously been a long-time head coach at one school, so he knows what it takes to help build a program from the ground up. I mean, Georgia State, they weren't winning anything before he got there, and he definitely left it better than he found it. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I thought Shane was very excited to bring a homegrown guy to his coaching staff. I think that's definitely the cherry on top to what has been a pretty good coaching carousel. And you also have to think about these coaches that he's had to replace. I mean, they've left. I don't want to say out of the blue, but obviously they've taken better opportunities. Jody Wright, Pete Lembo, Justin Stepp. It's all been at random, right? And I think Beamer has done the best job he possibly could with bringing guys on with the cards he was dealt. I mean, it wasn't an ideal scenario, right, to lose so many coaches, but he's done a great job of filling the voids as needed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jack summed it up there pretty well. And again, like we talked about, it's good to have a guy like Shawn Elliott, who was here during the glory days, right? And Shane brought that up too, to get a guy that he knows what kind of coach he is at South Carolina. And, you know, I think it was very big. And it happened quickly too, right? Like we mentioned, very clear and obvious choice for the tight ends coach. And then like Shawn said later in his presser, he's like, you know, it was Tuesday and Wednesday, and, you know, I knew that I was taking the job and stuff like that. So it's all happened pretty fast. But yeah, William says kudos to Shane Beamer. Great hire. Absolutely. And Carolina Titans says, with the coaches that Beamer picked this year, I think this team can surprise a lot. Between Elliott, Coley, and the new running back coach, I think this team will be more physical and fundamentally sound. Absolutely. Yeah, right. You know, you're getting guys that are experts in their field. I think Montel Blackwell is perfect for the running back room. You know, you have a lot of fresh faces. And this running back room has the potential to go out there and carve a new reputation for themselves. It hasn't been great in the past, but fresh faces. And then you also have some veterans like Juju McDowell. But I think Coach Blackwell is the right man for the job. You look at the wide receiver room, a lot of raw and young talent in that room. And you look at a guy like James Coley, you know, it's very big to have a guy like that who's seen and developed a lot of talent, send him off to the NFL. So when you have as much raw talent like you do in the wide receiver room, Coach Coley's the guy for that. And then obviously the tight end group, you know, fresh one and Brady Hunt. But then you also have a guy like Josh Simon returning. There's a lot of things that Coach Elliott can do along with his, you know, run game coordinator responsibilities. So a lot of good things coming out of this hire, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've hit on just about everything with this hire, right? I think it's the absolute perfect hire. The fact that you were able to lure him away from, I mean, look, I think we are kind of underestimating how, you know, I don't know what it really took. I mean, obviously the home, you know, homebody factor and him and his family being here and stuff was the obvious reason he left, right? But to go from being a head coach to a tight ends coach, it's crazy to think about, right? And this isn't the only time it's happened, because I think I saw something today on Twitter that Georgia Southern's head coach left for a tight ends coaching position. I can't remember where, but I think it just shows that, I mean, look, maybe the grass is greener in the SEC. I don't know what it is. It's just, look, I think it's probably harder to be a coach at a group of five level, just because you get a lot of guys like Elliott talked about today. I think 22 of his players over the years have left for P5 schools, and that's just the way college football is, right? We've seen it at South Carolina too. When guys succeed here for a year, it's like they ditch and just go on to bigger and better things, and that's the reality we have to face, right? And I think with Elliott, you know, obviously he loved being a head coach and stuff, and he would maybe do it again someday. Who knows? But But I think with his family being here and stuff, and having less pressure, I think maybe off his shoulders of being a head coach. I mean, he's already proven he can do it. But why not get a chance to come home, maybe coach his kid one day, and be around his family more? I mean, he talked about earlier today when he was at Georgia State, and his kid was playing. I can't remember the school, but it's one of the schools
Flora.
around. Well, no, I was talking about. I meant to say the middle school or whatever.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So Shawn referenced that he would literally drive and not fly, drive from Atlanta to go see his son play on a middle school football game or something, and that just shows the dedication that he has to his family. So I have the utmost respect for a guy like that, and I think him being here now, being closer to home and stuff, it was definitely the main reason he's back here.
Yeah, Big Red, I see your question. We'll get to that. I have a clip, Jack, talking. It's Coach Elliott's opening statement, just talking about his family and the reason he's come back. But yeah, Big Red asks, with an upgrade to our O-line and tight end coaching, does this help our D-line also? Yeah, I mean, I think what's helping the D-line more or less, is the transfers that are coming in. Coach T-Rob was in his first year last year. Just getting his feet wet in the SEC, but also, now with all these transfers on the D-line, you're getting a lot of help. And it also helps when you have, again, the football guys in the room. These guys all have a lot of respect for each other. And so, I think that's certainly, it can help in a way, but what's going to help this defensive line room is, just the reinforcements that are coming in. Coach T-Rob has some boys now that, he can work with, along with Boogie and Tonka. So, that's going to be good. And then the defensive end room is also restocked as well. Coach Sterling Lucas has done a great job in recruiting. And so those guys are all on the way up as well. So Big Red, to answer your question there, that's what you got. Here's Coach Elliott talking about the opportunity to come to South Carolina.
Certainly an awesome opportunity to be back here in Columbia, South Carolina with the University of South Carolina. It's, to be honest with you, it almost seems like I haven't left. From afar and then from a near also, I've always kept up with the University of South Carolina, how they were doing in so many different ways. I believe everyone knows here that my family still resides here in Columbia, so the transition from Atlanta back here to Columbia was very, very easy. When this position became available, I targeted. I mean, I reached out and wanted them to know that this was something that I wanted to do. For many reasons, but ultimately, I think for my family, the most important people in my life live here in the state of South Carolina in the Columbia area. My parents are still in Camden, and it's just a move that I wanted to pursue, and very fortunate that I had the opportunity to be back. I'm looking forward to making an impact here on the University of South Carolina. Their players, their coaches, everyone involved. I know I have the passion, and I'm here to inspire and motivate and do everything I can to put this program right where it needs to be, and that's at the top of the SEC in the country. And ultimately, that's what my goal is. As I was looking and coming back here, I started, thinking, about really personal goals, to be honest with you, and it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with football. I said, man, if I can coach at the University of South Carolina, and I've got my son, he's a high school football player at AC Flora. I said, if for whatever reason he can develop into a college football player and have the ability to come and play for the University of South Carolina. And my daughter, she's a competitive cheerleader at AC Flora and does a phenomenal job. She's won multiple state championships. I said, but one day, if I could be coaching on that sideline, potentially coaching my son at the University of South Carolina and my daughter cheering on that sideline, I said, that's a dream come true. And I have no idea if that's the case, but honestly, that would be something for me as a person and a family man and a dad, and just unbelievable experience. But love the opportunity to be here. Can't wait to get started. Been started a couple days now, and looking forward to many more days ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Coach Shawn Elliott describing, his decision-making process to join the coaching staff at South Carolina. Jack, walk me through your initial thoughts from Coach Elliott right there.
Again, we keep saying he's a family man first, and definitely got to respect it. And I mean, think about it. Think about how cool it'd be. Obviously, we don't know what year his son is at AC Flora, right? But I mean, think about it. If the opportunity comes where he's able to coach his kid on the sidelines at Willie B, it's gonna be awesome, man. That's something that you really don't want to pass up if you're in his position. And I think what he said earlier was perfect. It was late. It was towards the end of his press conference, but he was asked, would you ever want to be a head coach again somewhere? And he said he could see himself being here. Who knows? I mean, he's only 50, but like the rest of his time, and he wants to be at South Carolina. I think this is where his heart has always been, even when he was at Georgia State. I mean, you got to think back to when I think it was Beamer's second year, right? They played Georgia State first game of the year. And I remember doing a story or listening to Elliott's press conference and just talking about the love he has for South Carolina still to this day. And that was a few years ago. So he has always loved this area and these fans and stuff. And yeah, I mean, what more can you say? This is like we keep saying, this is a great hire.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Jack, I do have one more clip for us here this afternoon. But so here's Coach Shawn Elliott talking about, obviously he's getting into coaching the tight ends. He was here as an offensive line coach before and has a lot of history coaching that. But here's, his initial thoughts on, just coaching the tight ends position.
Shawn, welcome back.
Hey, David, thank you.
Switching over to tight ends, what's that challenge like? I know obviously it's a shorter group of people or smaller group of people, but what's been the biggest challenge of switching from O-line so many years to tight ends?
Well, I think you're just involved in so much more of the passing game, the route combinations, the concepts, that's one thing. I'm not going to call it a challenge because I've been around football my entire life, and I actually started my offensive coaching career coaching the tight ends at Appalachian State. And loved every minute of it. I think as a tight ends coach, it really makes you involved in everything through the course of the offense. Your throw game, your run game, you're just so much more involved in everything that they do offensively. I've always said, if you ultimately want to be one of the greatest coordinators, you got to have that concept, the pass and run game, and understand the combination and how it works together, and play calls and what sets up this. And this gives me the ability to be really back in that fold. And as a head football coach, I always had kind of the responsibility of overseeing all position coaches, and I would kind of go over there and throw some of my time in with the tight ends, the O-line, the running backs, the quarterbacks, and so I've had to experience all of that as the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be a little bit of a transition, but Coach Elliott, very much enjoying his new role. So far, so good, right, Jack?
Yeah, he's definitely going to fit in well, right? I think he's coached a lot of different positions at South Carolina over the years. And look, tight ends, it's a position that is still, I think we've yet to see it reach its full potential at South Carolina over the last few years with so many different guys coaching these players now. But I think what you get with Brady Hunt and Josh Simon and all the new guys you got coming in, I think Shawn's going to do some really good things. And then obviously with the run game, I think the run game is going to take a huge step forward this year. South Carolina was pretty much not good with the running last year, and it made the offense very one-dimensional, especially in those games that you needed to win. And I think this year we're going to see kind of not that the passing game is going to get worse, but I think the run game is going to be a lot more balanced and a lot more heavy usage as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, Jack, to your point, like you said, his tight ends room, is just waiting to be tapped into for the potential. You've got a lot of young guys and a couple veterans, right? So I think if there's anyone you want to bring along young, fresh depth, it's Shawn Elliott, especially at South Carolina. So he's going to get in there. He's going to get involved from the jump. And so I think it's a really, really good hire and perfect fit for the tight ends room, right? Especially amidst all the Brady Hunt stuff and all of that, right? It's the one thing that has the biggest question mark on this offense. I think, obviously, quarterback, you really don't know, but this tight ends room has certainly had its fair share of offseason drama. So to get a guy like Shawn Elliott, who's been in Columbia, he's a consistent face in the region, in the state, To get him in there, I think is very, very big. And, we're only going to see the results of this, obviously, when it comes game time. But I think we're already starting to see, based on the reaction of everyone, it's already starting to pay off in recruiting, because what Shane said about high school coaches reaching out, that's exactly what you want. You want, coaches in your state to be excited about your hire and, look forward to working with them. Because then, obviously when the player asks their head coach, where do I go? Obviously it's going to be a little bit more South Carolina lean if the relationship is better. So you're already starting to see, the fruits of this hire just based on the reaction. So, we're going to, get more of, how good the hire was and whatnot. Obviously as spring football picks up, summer football picks up, and then obviously when things kick off in the fall. But so far so good, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said it best right there. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in recruiting moving forward with him. But I think the fact that he's recruited in the state before, and probably some coaches out there know him already, and just the excitement they already have for him, I think is it's already speaking volumes. And again, Shane has done. We can't understate it. Obviously, we'll see what happens with the way they play. But I mean, with it being talking season and the off season and all that, he has done a fantastic job bringing in the best possible guys he can to help win games.
Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. Well, we're going to hit some ads real quick right before we get our final thoughts and get out of here. Jack and I have some baseball to cover. South Carolina baseball takes on Winthrop at 4 p.m. at Founders. We will get to that in a bit. But first, let me talk to you guys about our good friends over at Liberty Tax. Tax IDs, that uncertain feeling you get right before doing your taxes, but you don't have to go through alone. The tax team at Liberty Tax in Irmo, Lexington, and Columbia will walk you through the process, clear up any confusion, and guarantee you'll get the biggest possible refund or your money back. It's tax time. If you're in a hurry for your refund, call on the tax team at Liberty Tax. They're fast, accurate, and guaranteed. On the other hand, if you think you might be owing Uncle Sam, talk to the Liberty Tax team to make sure you're not paying more than you should owe. They'll find every possible deduction for you. Locally owned and operated, staffed by tax professionals from your neighborhood. Open 9 to 9 on weekdays and 9 to 5 on Saturdays with multiple service options. Start through the Liberty Tax mobile app or through the desktop portal. Make an appointment or just walk in. Give a call to upload your tax documents. And when you come in, your return will be ready to view and sign. Give them a call on your screen right now. And for those listening, 803-462-5576. Once again, 803-462-5576 for all of your tax needs this tax season. Jack, our other sponsor today is our good friend Clint Hammond of the Movement Mortgage Network. He's above us on all of our Gamecock Central live programming. In need of help with your mortgage, call on our good friend Clint Hammond of the Movement Mortgage Network. He's been in the mortgage industry since 2003, which allows him to help everyone from the first-time home buyer to the complicated and complex jumbo buyer. Whether you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance, nothing is more important than a well-thought-out financial strategy that comes with 5-star customer service. He's even helped out our very own Wes Mitchell and former Gamecock quarterback Perry Orth with their mortgages. So give us that clinical above us, like I said, on all of our Gamecock Central live programming, 803-771-6933. Once again, on your screen right now. And for those listening, 803-771-6933. Jack, give me your final takeaways on why Shawn Elliott was a good hire, a bad hire. Obviously, we've talked all of this show on why it was a good hire, but give me your final thoughts on the Shawn Elliott hire.
Yeah, he was a terrible hire. No, I'm just playing. He is the right fit for this program. I think it's the missing. We'll see what happens with the games, but I think it's a missing piece to the puzzle. And he brings the fire, the passion that I think the fans can kind of relate to, if that makes sense. I think everywhere he's gone in Columbia, he said today, you see Gamecock fans everywhere, and they have so much excitement. And I think some people on the outside probably underestimate how passionate this fan base is. And obviously the results haven't been good enough over the years, and they know that, and these coaches know that, these fans know that. And I think Elliott is really looking forward to trying to get this team back to its winning ways. Obviously, it's going to take time. They're not going to something crazy happens. They're not going to the SEC championship overnight. It takes, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? It takes time to build a winning program, but it's a good start when you have not just the right players, but the right guys, coaches in place to help mentor and get these kids ready for a 12-game gauntlet of a schedule again. So once again, fantastic hire.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Jack. Obviously we've said it a bunch on this show. I feel like, I've repeated myself a lot, but you wanted a guy who has seen what winning is like at South Carolina. Obviously Shane Beamer has. So to bring in another guy that he's worked with at South Carolina while the winning ways were about, it is such a big help. And, I think the way that the fan base reacted to this hire was indication that it was a pretty good one as well. Everyone is excited to have Coach Elliott back, including everyone, in the state, high school coaches, recruits, all of that. He's a darn good recruiter. And to have him coaching, the tight ends, but not only coaching the tight ends, but also with the position of run game coordinator. Everyone on this offensive staff will have input on the offense, but I think Coach Elliott will also have a very big one with his experience in the run game and also coaching offensive line. He's going to have a very immediate impact, right? But it starts with, like you mentioned today, just, getting to know the guys' names, getting to, know the guys within the building, getting familiarized with everyone in this program. And I think once he settles in and gets, familiar with everyone inside the building, things are going to start panning out. And so, very, very, very good hire for Shane Beamer and staff to be able to get him here and obviously lure him away. From his head coaching gig at Georgia State, all the pieces fell in line for you if you're South Carolina. So very, very big day. And, I'm excited to see what Coach Elliott can do. We're going to see results recruiting wise this offseason. And then, we'll have to wait and see how the football translates. But, the spring game will also be a pretty good indication of how he's, been able to adapt. Summer ball, we'll see it as well. But, excited to have Coach Elliott back in Columbia. Really, really good person, down-to-earth person. So really excited to, get to know him better and work with him more as he's in Columbia. So, Jack, that'll do it for us here on GC Live Talking Tuesdays. We will have BJ Mack tomorrow for the hard foul at 2 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun, so be sure to tune into that. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., BJ Mack on the hard foul. And again, be sure to send Mike Uva some well wishes. Again, he's feeling a little under the weather today, so Mike, hope you feel better. And then you also have afternoon drive on Thursday afternoon. That's Mike's show, and then obviously catch the walkthrough with myself. I can't say intern Joe anymore, or full-time Joe, if you will. So be sure to check that out this weekend. But appreciate all you guys joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. Have a good rest of your evening and good rest of your week.